May 9th, the Broome County Republican Women's Committee, committee, will be meeting. They are putting on a candidate forum. This is for the candidates who are running for the Broome County District Attorney's race, which is a very livid race. There's a lot going on there. And that'll be on Thursday, May 9th. If you wish to, you can go earlier. There is a food and cash bar that'll be available from 5:30 till 7, but 7 p.m. at the American Legion, Post 89, which is in Vestal. That's where the debate will happen. You do not need to pay the $20 to go to the event, which starts at 7. But if you want to have any of the dinner, or which would be spare ribs and mashed potatoes, or some of the drinks, then you would be doing that earlier, just so you know. And again, that was not a paid advertisement. I believe in the Broome County Republican Women's Club. I support them. And, I was aware of this event, and I believe in supporting candidate events whenever it is possible for people to know about what their candidates think and what job they will do. It's important. And I did interview Mike Korchak, who is running for one of the DA spots. The other candidate had mentioned that he was interested in doing an interview with us, and as of yet has declined to come in for an interview. He does not want to speak to the public. Don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why, but that's another thing. We'll see if he ever shows up. So with that said, there's just so many things that are going on right now. But I'll tell you what wasn't being mentioned, what isn't going on. Did you know that there were 3 Long Island teens? They got arrested for a plot to bomb their high school. That was May 2nd, 2 days ago. 2 days ago. You know what I noticed? No one's talking about it. No one is concerned that a bunch of high school students were going to go to school and bomb the school, that they want to kill a bunch of people. And this is the same thing that happened with Islamberg and the Islamberg plot, where we have 4 Boy Scouts that were students under 20 that were going to go and kill a town. And we see the same thing here with this high school plot. And the thing that's really interesting is, guess what? Red flag legislation, the New York SAFE Act, all this gun control, none of it worked. None of it worked. None of it made anyone any safer. Not for a second. No. What made people safer? People paid attention to the students. And once again, we had someone overhear the students talking about the event they were planning. They weren't on anyone's radar. The red flag laws would not have worked. The SAFE Act did not work. Nothing else. The Safe Storage Act doesn't work. Again, we're seeing an example where criminals are not being held back by the laws that are being passed. No one's made safer. The red flag laws only work if someone thinks you're a danger to you, to yourself, or your community. The kids weren't considered a danger to anyone. Didn't mean that they weren't a danger. They weren't considered it. The teachers had no reason to look at those kids and go, oh, they may be a danger. They were on no one's radar. They were making bombs, which are absolutely point blank illegal since 1934. So it wasn't even a question of, ooh, look, they had bombs. It's illegal by definition for anyone. You can't get that. So none of these laws made anyone safer. Not one. Why do we have them? Why do we see the government, both at the national level and at the state level, why are they pushing these kinds of laws when we see over and over and over again that these laws are not making people safer? We know this. It is a fact. It is not even a question. In fact, what we do know is that the NPR proved school shootings, they're not what you're being told they are. Back on August 27th of 2018, you can look at the article for yourself. It's called The School Shootings That Weren't. August 27th, 2018 at 9:26 p.m., in case you want to look it up yourself. And in that article, what are we told? That the reporting from 2015, 2016, the 240 schools had at least one incident of a school-related shooting. Complete lie. Not true. Didn't happen. Did not happen. NPR checked it out. 11. They found 11. Not 240. No, 11. So, and this is out of all the schools in America, and all the reporting. And this was a national report from the federal government, the U.S. Department of Education, or the Education Department, published this and proved. And they said absolutely a fact that there were 240 schools that had at least one incident, which is complete fabrication. And as NPR reported, that the government, when shown that they were wrong, blatantly, absolutely, totally wrong, the government said, oh, well, that's nice, and didn't care. Didn't change the numbers. Did not change the numbers. That's not me saying it. That's NPR. NPR did the homework. NPR is not a right-leaning organization. NPR is anything but a right-leaning organization. And they're telling you that you're being lied to, that you're being told, and this is the thing that ties together with what we see with the students over and over again. You're being told this really terrible, horrible story that you should be absolutely terrified of. You got to worry about your kids going to school. You got to worry about getting home from school. You got to be worried about what town you live in. These horrible, evil, terrible people exist all around you all the time, and they're doing all these horrible, evil, terrible things. Except, no, they usually aren't. And everything that the government's telling you that they're going to do to protect you from all these horrible, evil people and all this evil information that they're finding, one, the government's lying to you. It's not true. And on top of not being true, it isn't making you safer. The government doesn't stop. The New York SAFE Act, the red flag legislation, the Safe Storage Act, none of that is meant to make you safer. None of that is going to make you safer. None of that is going to help your life. Just not going to happen. A lot of people don't realize that. It's not going to help you at all. Because it's not supposed to. The New York SAFE Act doesn't stop people from, it hasn't. Islamberg, now in Long Island, it's not stopping kids from making bombs. It's not stopping people, crazy, deranged, criminal people, from trying to make bombs or harm other people. In Suffolk County, we found this to be true. And in Suffolk County, we found out they didn't use the SAFE Act or red flag legislation. None of that made people safer. In fact, what they did is they went out and they did old-fashioned police work. And the regular laws that we already have had for decades, that's actually what they used, and that's what prevented the tragedy. And that's kind of important. We already have the rules in place. We already have the laws in place to protect ourselves. You don't need new ones if you just enforce the ones that already exist. We have 22,000 gun laws. You just enforce the gun laws that we have. We don't need new ones, especially when these new laws aren't protecting us as we see. That is a fact. And look at the University of North Carolina. Again, a fact. These states have red flag laws. They have gun laws. They've enhanced those gun laws. They're not making you safer. We have 22,000 gun laws, actually more than that. They're not making you safer. And you notice, in each of these cases, we're not hearing about them. This should be national news. Think about all the other stories that have been national news. They disappear. The North Carolina case, even though that young gentleman died, I believe his name was Ryan, and he is a hero. He is a hero because he actually grappled with and tried to stop the gunman who was using a revolver. So, if you're thinking, oh, well, things like if we only had the New York Safe Act there, which only deals with semi-automatic rifles of a certain type, that only of the ones that look like they were in a movie set, that would protect you. It would try and stop that, but he used a revolver, so that didn't matter. The kids in Long Island were using a bomb. Did not affect them at all. It wasn't meant to. Safe Storage Act, that's about storing rifles and firearms, has nothing to do with either of these cases. You wouldn't be any safer. Not for a second. So we obviously are looking at people who are looking to punish people for having a Second Amendment right and exercising it. That's what these laws are for. This is what the red flag laws, the Safe Storage Act, the New York Safe Act, the national versions of each of these bills, all of the bills that have been passed throughout the entire nation in Illinois and California and everywhere else. What we're looking at is just the reality is that we're looking at people who are just angry that someone owns a firearm. They don't want you to have it. They want the government to have control over everything. And to make sure that they can get that, they're going to make it all illegal. Meanwhile, you're never going to be a second safer. But what you will be is a second closer to being Venezuela. You will be closer to being Venezuelans who in 2012 were told guns are illegal. We have to do something. Do something, politician. Make us safer. And Venezuela said, okay, fine. All guns are illegal. They took all the guns. And then 7 years later, they're shooting. Those very same politicians, that very same government is running around shooting the people themselves because they can't defend themselves anymore. That's the problem. But I will get into that and a whole lot more in just 1 second. We're going to take a quick break so I can reset myself and get back into the show properly, and we'll talk a little bit more in just a moment.